2012, the end of the world. It was the turn of the century when pingers hit the streets. We were off our dial, trying to attain respect, chewing our lips. Talking wisdom from wizards from Waverley Places on the beach down by the sea where we were all taught to stop, drop, roll and repeat. Ended up as cooked as an egg on the tar at the back of Whoop Whoop during a 40-degree week. We were making waves, creating our own cookbook and autobiography on how to look good, walking around doing what we'd want, being who we'd want to be. Consequently, there was a big loop in society that was water under the bridge to a Viking armed up and equipped with a catalogue of drugs from the highlands in the mountains where the nights we'd have on them were timeless like an action film. The numbers would crunch on chewing tablets, had us like these nuts are about to get infect us and give us wizard powers. With our pupils about the size of our eyes and as black as our minds, there was no doubt about us. We weren't in the current state of time since the night was black and cloudless. We were the only walk of life. Walk of life, it was one of those things you had one way in of, and one way in and no way out. There is no such thing as Neverland. The only storybook this is Peter Pan mixed in with Sandlot kids. The night was forever young, forever having some more of this and some more of that. Even though we were the only cunts that were like roasted marshmallows, feeling like we were losing it, cracking like wood on a fire pit you just came across in the middle of the bush, but there's nobody around. So you'd be able to gather we were banged up at a hall in a ghost town. But you wouldn't have ought to thought the cops were going to be called since we were so loud and out of order with the crowd surrounded with by nostalgic horror. But I was going to say aura. It changed over time. It was like that song about seeing a flying saucer. Sneaky sound system, UFO. We were definitely miles from nowhere, just out of town. Even with our minds heightened, we were still heightened from notice, while at the same time wanting our names spoken out of the crowd among idols and friends in flightless motion. Out on the town. A stone throw from where anyone lived, we were lighting fires in the middle of the bush with sticks. Walking flames or a quiet raging inferno. The fact still remains that the night these days is unheard of. You could say it was when the turn of the century decayed. The year was 2012. Time was wearing thin down at a debacle up at Brungle Hall, where we all got buckled like twisted metal when the towers fell all those years before. So do you understand the theory of relativity here, where Einstein's formalized thought of how space-time is warped on the mind when perceived with the naked eye? Having spoken the third eye and said, I say, the first hand on the clock is the second, but take a minute to get the full picture on the placement of the second hand being the minute. But as a whole, it takes 60 minutes before it's an hour long. So take into consideration how long time's been around the block. So could you picture a music box spinning in a circle non-stop with waves of motion surrounding a lake's stillness, feeling dazed as if we're walking coastal plains with pines just over the hills, frozen in time like the hills have eyes, as if it's the valley of the shadow of death against this paradise made of giants and mountains coming from an ice age of melted polar ice caps amongst the northern lights and aurora borealis, rainbows in motion like rainbows in potion, and we raise ours in a toast of burnt plains and fields of produce, for a hard thirst of blood, sweat and tears makes the great dividing range famous for its height in length and elevation. And the fact we make the sky's status a mountain to climb, calling it the Blue Mountains. Around the Oberon and Bathurst pines, sticks and stones around broken dotted lines where I've left a trail behind my tracks in time. My favour is the closest the favour of Moses, being amazed as a boat stuck in the ocean, a saviour to most men that fall out, boy. We will remember them for centuries. It was 2012, the end of the world. I never received no cease and desist order, but they stopped me writing poetry. A cease and desist order, or more commonly a cease and desist letter, is is a formal request to an individual or business to stop engaging in specific activity that is believed to be infringing on another's rights or violating law or contract. It's a way to address potential legal issues before resorting to formal litigation. Here's a more detailed explanation. What is a legal request? A cease and desist letter is a formal document demanding that a party stop a particular action. A warning, it serves a warning that continued or future violations may lead to legal action. Not a court order. While it's often used before legal action, it's not a court order itself. A cease and desist order can be an order, but the term is more commonly used for the letter. Used in various situations, cease and desist letters are common in intellectual property disputes, copyright, trademark, patents, contract breaches, harassment, and other situations where someone is violating another's rights. When it's used before legal action, it's often the first step taken to resolve a dispute before filing a lawsuit. To stop a specific behavior, it can be used to stop an individual from engaging in certain conduct such as defamation or business infringing on someone's intellectual property. To protect rights, it's used to assert and protect the party's rights and can be used as evidence to a later legal case. Key elements of a cease and desist letter: identification of parties, clearly identifies the sender and recipient of the letter. Description of infringing activity, details the specific actions that are being requested to cease. Legal basis may include the specific legal basis or contract provision that is being violated. Demand to cease clearly states the recipient must stop infringing activity. Deadline sets a deadline by which infringing activity must cease. Warning of legal action warns that further legal action may be taken if demand is not complied with. Contract information includes contact information from the for the sender in case the recipient has questions or wants to respond. It's that time again, man. Getting rowdy, moving like messages, Christmas messages. My inbox is dead empty, bitch. Been denied of my rights, so I'm thinking fuck the circumstances. My purpose sanded like the pyramids in the Egyptian desert. It's coincidental its lands are desolate, since it's not a place of peasants, not even rulers among men. They're the ones who created the example we live in. I'm like to the boys, this is what Santa gave me. A magic wand from the North Pole grants a gift from the present within me, a soul fortune. A destination unheard of. Some pay the peace behind heaven's gates where the taste of dirt was lost. Sandy shores, we know Bermuda, points of a triangle. Canis Manger, Uranus Pictor, where shit disappears. We all know the background of Australia's picture. England, the red and white. Australia's the green and gold. Even Canadian dreams of Niagara Falls. I'm just known to live on the drill belt. Aliens are fiends who exist in hell, but who's to say who's extraterrestrial? So it's a new year, and I look to the sky on the scale to see who'd come first. It points to the common like three stomachs a cow's got a hold on, but one has to wonder how's one gets stolen, the cow that is, and how it's pictured in cinemas. Cotton On boys walk through the graveyard in socks. Watch out for the black Jenny. Might need a silver bullet from a double barrel shotgun. They call me Johnny the Devil tried to get a hold of. So these Aboriginals be implying they Voldemort. Well, I'm Sea Urchin. I do recall calling a cargo ship operator saying we need red dirt marked as dangerous goods, said to send it to the South Pole. I don't see merchant. This ain't glacial mass. If you thought that, space would be full of spatial caps. Water and wood like fire and ice. Sulfur exists when lightning strikes. Ozone is the liquid marine. Life would be quite different if we were fish. Does dirt exist, or is it all the sands beneath? Oh, how I dream of a life I could live if the waters were clear, but a dream is just a fantasy. Hey there, Mildred. Mildred, it's time to burn a debt. The gold's melting in the furnace quick. Find me up on my learners doing a burnout in a Toyota Corolla, trying to hold on before I erupt. Burning out quick lava rolls off the tires on the skin like bumhole when my dick infinites the gas. Thanks I stole the beefs. Thanks to the pig, copper dogs, hot rolls until your hole hits disregard. That's when shit hits the fan. That's why you need the gear to send to exile. from the nearest guy listed, thinking I'm rolling these fools like diet food. Call Jenny Craig. She got the base suit of Fed Colt 45 9mm in the clip. I ain't got no time to read magazines. Take a frag grenade in your bitch. I come quicker than a hurricane, but I don't beat my beat. I call PFD. What did Mark Zuckerberg had to say when he sucked a turd? Puff, puff, pass away. The blunt turned him into grass-fed beef by his last name. The pig stole the beef, not though Saddam Hussein, their death were protesting al-Bashir. How is marked with delirium in the midst of Syria? Calamity pace uncertainty. While ISIS seems inferior, so does the asterisk, and that's the Spider's supreme sermon. We measure the way we breathe in circa. But sir, come size up a load of wood. When it barks, it cracks like ice. So when is water considered as light? Be it black, it's got something rooting for it. Stay away from the rodeo because the loose souls you. Now I don't know if that's unprotected sex before marriage, but it's definitely carrot. When something assaults you, that's long the arse out the vagina, female genitalia. But there's nothing stopping me if my sword's coming to save you. You can go to McDonald's, for example, and get a medium nugget meal or large, or maybe you need cookies too or something, and the price is $14.35. So you say to the cashier, where's the number 2? And someone will come in and do a shit, and the nuggets will be fresh and smooth rather than shriveled up. I want a reward set dead or alive for the placement of a bounty on the one's head who took me out of where I was. So what is the weed telling me? I smoked it, I burned my fingers and smelled plastic burning. Then seen this news article about Silicon Valley in California. Is it how it said that's where an internet server farm is? I could download music from SoundCloud and put it on my Apple iPhone without purchasing it. I found all these quotes with Facebook sponsored ads, and the whole internet was on about it, sponsoring ads to what you were talking about at the time you seen it. If it's not surveillance, if it's not surveillance, it's you in the block universe left to your own device. I was connected to the 11.3 universes, but they make up the one life we live. How isolated is the world really, even when we're all in the same moment? Don't make me activate the Fahrenheit dock at the Talbingo Reservoir. You either want to help and live again, or your whole world will turn to dust. You need approximately 100,000 grains of sand to equal the estimated numbers of stars in the universe with their atoms. If the sand atoms were the stars, how many universes would there? If the sand atoms were the stars, how many universes would there be with all the grains of the sand in the Sahara? 11.3 universes, we can count to 10, which make up one existence. And I don't think it told me the atom count. I think it told me just the grain of sand count. So 11.3 universes can be exampled in the time of 1,130,000 grains of sand. That's 13.56 minutes. Divided by 11.3, that's 1 minute and 12 seconds. So our universe was created in 1 minute and 12 seconds and it ended in 13.56 minutes. It was all over before it started. That's no real purpose in life, but it's the purpose of life to live without an end. There would be no life in death, just points in time that flies. And when moments become memories, you're learning something. Something from nothing, because something that was nothing was no more. The user wants to know QRSTUVYVWXYZ would mean in fictional scenario. Recall the previous context. HIJKLMNOP was assigned as a fictional meaning, hijack large military network on planet. The user is asking for the meaning of the rest of the alphabet. The latter remaining letters create a consistent fictional meaning. The theme is a continuation of high-stakes, potentially sci-fi military operation. QRST could be quickly or quarantine, reality space-time, or request a status update. UVW could mean unauthorized vessel withdrawal. XYZ could mean cross your zone, execute your zone. The war on peace has existed throughout time, no matter how far it goes on. People never learn from their mistakes. It is said we had it in Eden when God blew it up, but the thing is, we don't understand money spells space. Now, talking about space being money, time is money too. That's why we have space-time, and for millennia people have fought their idea of compromise, because we all exist but we don't know where we come from. Well, we do. We're told from a young age about the story of Adam and Eve. But the thing is, this is a God-forsaken world. We've had World War which revolved around the areas of peace in its symbolism. Now is it good or bad? We don't know what it's really about, the newer generation, but I can take a guess on it and suggest it is a story of the serpent. The time and money spent on people didn't add up. The cost of items added up, but the payment of cents opposed to dollars, that was a big difference, which can only make more problems for the 21st century of technology. People get stuck behind their computer. They crave sensation and feel good. You could say the high life. That's why Russia is going to war with Ukraine. Because this attack is from space and has been within his history. It was in the making. Soviets put the first satellite into space like an omen. It was used against the whole world through false information. But that's current events. Before it was Afghanistan because of the 9/11. But it was something to do with the Hollywood films and the eye and the soul. But it's all gypsies and charlatans offering to television will show you society, but it still remains false on how society is actually. Only breeds more disappointment. Now I've explained all the facts, I know, but still people have nothing to say. Governments want to take down my Facebook, but still in this day and age we are faced with the same war on peace. They even plagiarize the history surrounding your consciousness. So they use you against you. All for what reason? They seem to not be able to speak. So do they even understand the things as you do? Eden must still exist. We have FPOS like a crumbled wreck of a space station. You could say money makes the world go round. So we've eliminated the personal nature of involvement. So what is the direction of people's influence and actions if they can't believe in the facts that are in all our understanding? ABC, at first there was a big conflict, a world war far from what we known to be ours, where there were bards and squires and there were knights and thieves. So there was direct energy from God creating the Knights Templar in an age of imperial law which was a past far beyond our own, creating the reality we know as the present. It's far beyond what we know in a sense of freedom. They weren't having greenhouse gases cause global warming. The world would have been probably 800 million to 1 billion people. So somewhere along the way, HIJKLMNOP, a hijack of a large military network on the planet happened. Was it from going to the moon? Is it happening now with the technology evolution? Is that the direction we're heading in? Because it then implies unauthorized vessel withdrawal. Is it in the future? Is it in the past? In a time like first mentioned in Eden where there was resistance, quarantine reality space-time, QRST, like we seen in the movie Terminator, then finally XYZ as cross your zone. Could it be AI overtaking the world in the future? Is it far from now and we're just living in the moments in between? Life happens in moments. Why would you want to live lifeless? It's about honor and respect for the truth, but it's also about having a good time. Where has the time gone? How can people live so isolated? You want a community that stands together and friendships that last forever. Why would all else matter, as much as the occasion of what time permits. Time is short, but moments last a lifetime, because we all share an identity with God, known as God's identity. So we are all connected to the past, present, and future. It's about what we can't live without: the freedom to speak, the freedom to communicate. It's a moral respect that's shared in the fullness of the image every person is a part of. The devil is real, but our faith is immortalized. We recognize in the mirror of society this land wasn't given to us. We had to earn it. We had to earn the right to be called a human. Being through self-evaluation, we become masters of ourselves, masters of our minds, masters of human anatomy. Time hasn't built the best things It's the connection to the spirit of a community. With time you'll fade away, but legends and tales, story of prophecy, the aspirations to be great are hard kept. Luck isn't a circumstance, it's a narrative of a son of a bitch. The vowels we keep, A-E-I-O-U, it could mean AE104. Nobody going from Facebook recognises the I as having lines, so the effing UFO gets covered by the I. So aliens very well could exist, if that's what it's about. So aliens very well could exist, if that's what it's about. But if the statement is true, it goes A-E-B-C-C-E-B-E, common error, basic error. So that could mean the medieval is only IOU 104 bracketed years old, dubbed the Valley of the Shadow of Death. Sign below. If life is not your reality, try making life reality by making your life reality, meaning the way you think three-dimensional. Reality is a short step away. Will you secure your future today? Dust and sand differ primarily in their composition, size, and source. While a grain of sand is a specific type of particle, dust is a more general term for any tiny airborne particle composition. A grain of sand is granular material composed of mineral particles, mostly quartz, silicon dioxide. The specific minerals can vary based on the location and geology, but sand is almost always rock or mineral fragments. In contrast, dust is a heterogeneous mixture of fine particles from a variety of sources. Household dust, for example, is a complex mix of dead skin cells, textile fibers, pollen, soil particles, animal dander, and even microscopic insect fragments. Size sand grains are relatively coarse and are visible to the naked eye. Geologically, a sand grain is defined as having a diameter typically between 0.063 mm and 2 mm. Dust particles are significantly smaller, with a diameter of less than 0.063 mm. They also find that they can remain suspended in the air for long periods of time, which is why dust storms can carry particles over vast distances. Origin and transport. Sand is formed primarily through the weathering and erosion of rocks, and is typically transported by water or wind. Because of its larger size, it's not carried far from its source by the wind unless the wind is exceptionally strong, resulting in the phenomena like sand dunes. Dust particles are also created by erosion, but they can be many different sources, both natural and man-made. Due to their size, dust particles are easily lifted into the atmosphere by even light winds, allowing them to be transported globally. This is why dust from the Sahara Desert can be found in the Amazon rainforest. Ask yourself why years ago cities around the world turned out the lights for Earth Hour. The power station can be known as Earth's heart, with the back road behind the reservoir that feeds it, named Elias Way, is 1 kilometre deep, and there's that Jesus thing in Matthew 12:40, I think, where he said, just as Jonah spent 3 days in the belly of the beast, the Son of Man will spend 3 days in the heart of the earth. The message you will tell them when you've found knowledge of who they are reads as follows. Here's some information from the Earth Hour. The best result was seen in Christchurch, New Zealand, the city reporting a drop of 13% in electricity demand. Earth Hour 2009, 400 cities participated. Among the participants in 2009, for the first time, the United Nations headquarters in New York City. Israel was in the 2010 Earth Hour. 2010, United States, 90 million Americans participated in Earth Hour. In Chicago, building owners and managers association developed lighting guidelines to reduce light pollution and reduce the carbon footprint of downtown buildings. Mount Rushmore in South Dakota started powering down each night. In Vietnam, electricity demand fell 500,000 kilowatt hours. The Philippines had 1,067 towns and cities pledged participation in 2010, with over 15 million Filipinos participated in the event. About 4,000 cities participated, including landmarks such as Big Ben, the Empire State Building, the Sydney Opera House, the Eiffel Tower, the Pantheon, the Brandenburg Gate, and the Forbidden City. So I wonder why Gundagai participated in Earth Hour and turned the lights out in the town. I'm pretty sure that was 2007, the same year Kevin Rudd became Prime Minister against John Howard. It seems strange that we only did it once. Were we the first to turn out the lights, or something? And then it was then it was a worldwide movement in a lapse of time. Places like Big Ben and the Eiffel Tower and Mount Rushmore doing it. No, it says over 90 million Americans participated into it at one stage, but it doesn't say how many towns turned out their lights in Australia. I think it was all in accordance with Barack Obama's visit to Bagram Air Base in Afghanistan. Was it all entirely? What was it all about entirely? I don't know, but there's a future hidden somewhere. I'll just post this again. ABC, the big conflict, direct energy from God, HIJ, KLMNOP, UWVQRSTXYZ. Transition in the next Earth Hour, you enter the next dimension. Just set your alarm to 10:46 p.m. every night, and you will begin the transition through the paradox of time. You might feel like a stranger. We are overtaking your mind, whether you like it or not. Understand that civil liberties, freedoms shared amongst us all. Don't deny somebody's equal opportunity. Set the alarm or get lost without us. The garnet is a gemstone, meaning symbolism dates back thousands of years, meaning the garnet is diverse across cultures and time, but it is mostly commonly associated with love, passion, and friendship. Love and devotion due to its deep red color. Garnet is strongly linked to the heart and passion and vitality. It is often given as a gift to symbolize deep romantic love and commitment, and is traditional gemstone for the 2nd and 19th wedding anniversaries. Friendship and loyalty. Safety and hope in folklore is said to bring light and hope. One well-known legend even states that the garnet was the only light on Noah's Ark guiding its way. Protection from negativity, to keep away evil spirits or nightmares. The physical body and the present moment origin of the name garnet comes from the Latin word granitus, which means seed-like or grain, likely in reference to small, vivid red seeds of pomegranatum, which the stone's appearance resembles. Garnet is also the traditionally birthstone for the month of January. Would you like to know more about what time would it be in Australia at 10:46? What time would it be in Australia at 10:46 in the pyramids of Giza? What time would it be in Australia at 10:46 at the pyramids of Giza? 6:46 in Canberra, 5:46 in Brisbane, 3:46 in Perth, 7 a.m. Consider. Where would it be 7 a.m.? 7:46. 7:46 a.m. would be the current time in locations following UTC plus 9 time zone, which is 4 hours and 39 minutes behind your current location in AEDT, Australian Eastern Daylight Time. This includes major cities like Tokyo, Japan, Seoul, South Korea, Pyongyang, North Korea, Eastern Indonesia. If it was 12:46 in Gundagai, New South Wales, where would it be the times you told me? If it was 10:46 in Egypt, Gaza. Since Gundagai, New South Wales observes Eastern Daylight Time, which is UTC 11 plus 11, we can calculate where it would be the times from your previous 6:46, 5:46, 3:46. Asked about equivalent UTC offset where the time would be. Thailand, Vietnam, Indonesia, Bangladesh, Kazakhstan, United Arab Emirates, Oman, Georgia. Yeah. Think about Noah's Ark being the pyramids, which are in control of space-time because they control our weather. Bitch, deny me this freedom and I'll extend my hand in the value of you of my perception being positive, but outlining the negatives that impede on the positives. How can people tell you don't fit into society? Ask yourself, do people know the real world? Or are they simply mentally fixed on an automation, like a bot? Do you know what it is like to thrill-seek and an adventure, chasing the white line on the road through the fire and the flood? I made my home, but the people outside of drugs took it too far. Life is not a simulation, but your brain requires a simulation for needs, wants, and desires to be satisfactory, plausible. Do you know the rule about breaking a mutual understanding? Every dealer that's ripped you off with the bolt, you can buy a garnet doublet with its hidden meaning. You can get paid collateral third party, aka the dealer. That's the world we are in. Do you know hologram projectors already exist? So I'll be buying this and it should fix my issues. Hopefully. Isn't getting high getting offended in defense of society? Do you ever think ahead? High, when does it become rude to take offense? Do you like the scent of essence? Smell of flowers in the sun? The smell of flowers in the sun when you're in dire need of assistance. 1. Pledge allegiance to Nightmare on Elm Street. Or I pledge allegiance to Nightmare on Elm Street because I'm a dark horse. I giddy up when I'm fucked off. And well within the cause of constraint in the eyes of society these days. I'm like, thanks for the insight, mate. It's a citation. I swear to God. Had the Ice Age. What's it mean? I gotta get fried to the death to go to the future or something. There's a choice of a hearse or a morgue. It's telling me it's something about a spirit passage. The only predicament is the past where we began. There is yet another complex where it comes to religion. The Bible didn't mention the pyramids, But in the verse about Mount Sinai, it said a man with a great desert kingdom. With the Egyptians, they worshipped man's best friend with the Sphinx. That is the most known basic concept. The Bible mentions many different animals, and that talking about market trading or something, they don't mention a man and his dog. But this is something we all know, right? How do we know this? With no text referring to the same narrative I speak, we are the magic within itself, since God spoke us into creation. We are living in God, but according to the Bible and religion. But still going by that narrative within the pyramids, going by the nursery rhymes and the movies like Snow White and the Crystal Slipper. The pyramids are really crystals that came out of the sun that landed at the point they are, and connected to the poles controlling the weather. With the magnetosphere, we observe the raw component being the northern lights and aurora borealis, which would be everywhere if cold enough. How the rain is picked up in clouds. So in saying, the Bible tells us not to murder or steal, but Jesus says he will turn water to wine with his blood, feeding the bread of life, telling us to eat meat and trade animals. So is it violently real in plain sight? But the Egyptians come from the stars, but are the most down-to-earth being as a vital part of the planet's infrastructure, seemingly but a pile of bricks, theoretically, the foundation of the planet. The Bible is the moral concept, but still points to one way of life. The original vowels A, E, I, O, U, the protocol keys that enable the transaction and data extraction, consonants B, C, D, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, V, W, X, Y, Z. The tactical instructions for the mission to execute the transfer. That's just that's talking about a hypothetical scene, but, could it hypothetically be real? So what happened was, I was talking to somebody on social media right at 10:46. I seen the notification. I screenshotted it at 11:46. I screenshotted it at 11:46. It says, but that was after it came up. Once I finished writing this message I was writing at the time it came up, I screenshotted it again after I wrote the second message at 12:46. And I thought it was the first time I seen the message. 2 hours had went past in something like 20 minutes. So that's 180 minutes passed in 20 minutes. That's 90 minutes every 10 minutes. Did the time warp and lapse out? I think so. The remainder updates the notification all the way up till 12 a.m. Even though it only sounds the alarm once, but snooze is only every 15 minutes. In the beginning, the notification extended a couple times, but that was the only 2 occasions. When it first happened, it sounded longest. Then the second time, it started to only sound once. Then you wouldn't hear it again. So I believe this is enough evidence to prove the example I've given.